Hi everybody, I'm Ruechel and welcome to this portion of the PCS Journal, where we sit down and chat with folks within Pinellas County Schools, find out what they do and how it may affect you and your kids. And joining me today, Joan Reubens, the bullying prevention specialist. Joan, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great.
Well, you have a tough job.
Yeah, it is. It keeps me busy.
Yeah, it's a real challenge. I mean, you know, when we were growing up, I don't even know if people knew or understood what bullying was. But over the last 15 or 20 years, it has become a real issue. Why is that?
Well, I think one of the main things of what's happening with our bullying is that it's more publicized, where our kids are able to go online and they have those cell phones that are 24/7. So it kind of keeps the face-to-face things that might have ended at the end of the school day going, continuing to go. So kids can post it on social media, they can send some inappropriate things, say things about other kids, and it just kind of keeps that going.
Did you have somebody bully you when you were young?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I did.
I would say his name on the air, but with my luck, he may have retired down to this area.
Yeah.
And how we handled bullying was very different back then versus, you know, what our expectations are now too, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, back then it was, okay, well, you know, it's happening. Kids will be kids. This
Yeah.
is, you know, it's kind of like, not the rite of passage, I really don't like that, but it's kind of like just kind of the way things are.
Right.
Handle it, and, you know, or let the teacher know, and you let the teacher know, and the teacher's like, okay, go sit down. But nothing's handled.
Yeah, and then, you know, for guys, it was always, well, push back, you know, something like that. No, my dad never told me to hit anybody, and you know, I wouldn't do that per se, because I was a chicken, among other things. Let's be real honest about that. But now we're talking about trying to prevent bullying. So I want to start out with where this conversation needs to begin. Give me a definition of what exactly is bullying.
Well, the exact definition of what bullying is when a person feels targeted repeatedly by the actions of another person, and they're negative. And it could be something that's verbal. They continually say something that's inappropriate. You know, you're stupid, you're ugly. Maybe they say it to them one day and they kind of laugh about it, and their friends are laughing too, and the kid starts to feel a little isolated, like, okay. They kind of, sometimes they'll ignore it, kind of laugh it off. Maybe it won't happen again. And then maybe the next day, now they're, you know, slapping them or taking their items, not giving it back. And then if they say, give it back, you know, the other kids may start laughing, going, oh, he's crying, he wants his things back.
Yeah.
So it almost becomes like a group mentality sometimes with our kids. They kind of join in with the inappropriate behaviors from another student.
Now, sometimes I see movies or things that are in the media right now with them showing an example of bullying, and I go, that can't really happen. Can somebody just really go up there and slam their locker in front of them, or take something, a book, and throw it on the ground and say, pick it up? I mean, does that really happen?
Absolutely, it does happen, and our kids that this happens to really are not prepared, so they don't know what to say, they don't know what to do, which is one of the big things that we try to teach with our kids is be prepared for any type of inappropriate behavior. What is your response going to be? How are you going to protect yourself? And I don't mean in a physical way, but in, you know, using your words, going to let another adult know that this is happening, and just simply looking at the kid and just saying, no, don't do that to me.
So some of this is also what you said, like group think or group actions, where a group of people will start getting together. And I always wonder, well, where's the person of character that steps up in that group and goes, you know, I'm not going to participate in this?
That's right. And you know what? We have so many kids that will do that. We have kids that will report for other kids they don't even know, which is what's really nice. Oh, yeah. Through our online reporting system, bullying.pcsb.org, is when all of our reports come in online, and I get to see all the reports. And each of our schools has an investigative team. They get that report as well. But what's fascinating about it is that a lot of times it's not the kid who's being bullied that puts that report in, it's a friend that says, I see this happening to my friend, or there's this kid at lunch, I don't know who they are, but this is what's happening. And they report it, and I love that. We don't even need to know who's reporting it, because in my mind, they're a hero.
Yeah.
They're looking out for their kids, they know something's wrong, but they don't want to put themselves in harm's way, which I absolutely agree with. We don't want our kids getting face-to-face with somebody who's being aggressive, but letting an adult know what's going on, because that child that it's happening to is feeling isolated, they feel alone, they're scared, they're embarrassed, they don't know how to handle it.
Are the kids worried that it could backfire? That's why they don't say something, because they say, if I say something, it's only going to get worse.
Absolutely, and I've had reports like that as well. I said something, and now I'm being bullied. Now, we definitely have had that. So I do understand when kids are like, well, I don't want to say anything because I don't want it to happen to me. I get that. Their safety is number one. But letting an adult know, hey, this is what I saw going on over here, and then you get it to the adult, let them know what's going on, and the adults need to handle it.
So organizationally, what happens at each school? You mentioned there's a team that kind of determines this. So tell me what resources are available in each school to try to help you determine when bullying is taking place.
Well, every one of our schools in Pinellas County has an investigative team, a minimum of 3 people, but many of our schools have like 6 to 8
Now, are those
different
teachers, or those
people.
administrators, or who?
They're administrators. Some can be teachers, but basically they're like administrators. They can be behavior specialists, school counselors, psychologists, social workers, people that have the ability to be able to make parent phone calls, investigate, find out what's going on. Classroom teacher doesn't really have that ability because, you know, they're teaching class.
Right.
But many of our classroom teachers are on the prevention end, where they're doing, how do we prevent this? How do we intervene? What types of programs do we want to see in our schools to prevent it and to support?
Okay, so step one, you've got a team that investigates it, and then how does that team then move forward, again, to try to make sure that you're not unfairly talking about somebody, because kids figure this thing out, and they'll say, yeah, that person was a bully, may or may not have been, simply because they want that person to get into trouble.
Right, absolutely. Well, part of the process is that they contact parents the day the investigation begins.
Okay.
So if we have a student who says, I'm being bullied, even if we think, well, maybe you're not, we don't really know, because we're not the child that
Sure.
this behavior is happening to. So once it's reported to the school, they have 10 working days to investigate. I mean, rarely do they take 10 working days, but
No.
they have up to that time, because sometimes kids are absent, testing is occurring, and they
Right.
can't, go through the whole process as quickly as they would like. And then they talk to the child who feels victimized, get their statement, and then of course the child that was doing the bullying behaviors get their statement as to what's happening, and then of course any witnesses. So, but one of the main things that we do is that we protect the child who reports, who
Oh,
feels
absolutely.
victimized.
Right, yeah.
So we're not going to say, hey, Joan is bullying Al. Why are
Yeah.
you doing that? I would never report again if you're going to tell, So
Yeah.
our teams are trained not to do that, and for student confidentiality, and making sure that our kids that do report are feeling safe and comfortable.
And what's the parents' reaction? Because I coached soccer for many, many years, and so I think I've dealt with every kind of parent situation, good, bad, indifferent, along the way. And sometimes, parents will be in denial as well. So how do you bridge that gap?
That's difficult. When you call a parent and you let them know that you've received a report,
Yeah.
and that their child is engaging and possibly engaging in bullying behaviors, because to be fair, we don't know what that really is happening. We've had parents, of course, beyond the defense, but then we've had parents that are like, okay, let me know, because if my child is doing this, then I want to know. So we get lots of support from parents, but then we kind of get a little pushback too, because it's the mama bear, papa bear wanting to protect their child,
Yeah.
not my child. But I think what parents need to understand too is that when our kids are not with us, their parents, they act very differently when they're with their peers.
Oh, yeah.
So
Could bullying also be a reaction of something that's happening in the home?
absolutely, it could be.
Oh,
And
that's sticky. That's got to
yes.
be, oh boy.
And that is because many times when I have met with students that are engaging in bullying behaviors, they'll start to tell things about what's happening at home. It could be a sibling, could be a parent, could be neighborhood kids. I'm always picked on, and I cry and nobody cares. So they come here to school and they want to kind of assert their power and control over other kids.
Yeah.
Because they feel so powerless about what's happening in their life.
And now, as if it wasn't bad enough by itself, now we have cyberbullying, where it happens on the internet. People send emails, people send pictures. I mean, it's astounding, the pictures that some kids will send around on Instagram and all these places like that. And then it just escalates.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things with our kids on social media is, I would say many of our parents really have no idea where their kids are going. They'll
Yeah.
tell them, oh, I'm on Snapchat, or I'm doing, but sometimes our kids are engaging in things that parents have no idea about, and sending different pictures or personal information.
Right.
So I think what's really important is that parents need to be part of their social media. They need to be friended, so that way they can see what's going on with their
Yeah.
kids and know the passwords and things like that. And if they're not adhering to it, then you have to have a conversation with your child. I mean,
Right.
take it away, if need be, until you can figure out what's going on.
And the saddest part is that we've seen the number of cases, even in the Tampa Bay area, where the bullying is so severe that God bless them, that poor child, that boy or girl, has decided to take their own life. I mean, that just
Absolutely.
rips you up inside.
Right.
So obviously, if you don't see some successes within your own program, it would get you down. So what's working, and that you can say, yeah, we are making a difference.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, our reports are, since when we started back in 2008, I mean, our reports of bullying have been decreasing over time, which is good, because schools are handling what's going on. Kids know what the difference between, like, are learning what the difference between bullying and what conflict is, because everything is called bullying, but it's not really.
Right, that's true.
Yeah. So, and then also too, school-wide programs that we have in place, like our Olveus Bullying Prevention Program, which is a research-based program from Dan Olveus, and we have 8 trainers in our district now.
Oh, wow.
So, and we go out to different schools and we implement this program, and it's not another thing for the schools to do. It kind of dovetails with what they're already doing,
Right.
character education, different things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's the whole school involved. So, you know, kids, staff, parents, everyone's involved in this
Right.
program.
Now, the one reason we're talking about that is October is Bullying Prevention Month, but you've got something called the second annual Embrace Anti-Bullying Production. What's that?
Yes, I'm so excited. Yes, this was last year. We had the Embrace Anti-Bullying Production, and it's actually put on by Pat McGee. She's actually the writer and the producer of it, and she's with APM Enterprises, but she also works for the Department of Juvenile Justice.
Oh,
so,
that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
so it's
cool.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so. In partnership with Pat, we also have the St. Petersburg Mayor Kreisman, so he's involved in this as well. He came last year and spoke at the event, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, just trying to get that message out there about bullying and the harm it causes and how we can come together. The show is going to be at Johns Hopkins Middle School.
So it is actually a show.
Yeah, it's an actual show.
Singing,
and
dancing?
It's about an hour and a half.
Oh, really?
Singing, dancing, and they're our kids. In our public schools, but we also have kids in our private schools that
take part in that program.
have taken part.
That's October 25th. That's a Wednesday from
Yes.
6 to 8 p.m. Well, that's
Yes.
really cool.
Yep.
And it's not just acting and singing, it's to try to portray what's going on with bullying so parents can have a better understanding of what's going on.
Absolutely, yeah. It is through singing, dancing. There's narration, so they give you like statistics as we go along.
Yeah.
And it's fast. It's like a fast-paced show. And a lot of the kids have created their own monologues through their own experiences.
Oh, yeah.
And you really feel that.
So in the last few seconds we've got here, you know, what message do you have for parents when it comes to bullying?
Well, the message that I have for parents when it comes to bullying is that whether their child is the one who is receiving those bullying behaviors or engaging in the bullying behaviors, support. We don't want to criminalize a child who's been engaging in bullying behaviors because they're doing it for a reason, and they need support, and that's what we're here for. We will support our kids on both sides of the bullying issue, and of course our bystanders, all of our kids that see it, know about it, and are thinking, oh my gosh, is it going to be my turn? Well, we don't want that. We want our kids, so parents working with their kids, getting them prepared, getting them ready to respond to possibly a situation like, well, what happens if someone says you can't sit here at lunch? Practice with your kids some ideas that they can say, you know, like, well, I didn't want to sit here anyway. Or it could be a child that might say something, you know, like, it says nothing and just kind of shrugs their shoulders and walks away. But I don't think the behavior should be ignored. I think an adult needs to know that took
just
place.
be involved with your kids' life. Sit down with them at the meal table, talk to them, even ask them, hey, is anybody bullying you? I know it's kind of a direct approach, and maybe they'll say, no, but maybe down the line somebody has been.
Absolutely.
And I know also for younger kids, if they are the one that's doing the bullying, you're doing them a favor that they will appreciate for the rest of their life, because they will know now that behavior was not appropriate. That's a behavior that could harm them for the rest of their lives.
That's right. And they will never forget the help they received.
Yeah, that's true. Joan, good talking to you. Thank you so
Great
much.
talking
And
to
good
you.
luck on the anti-bullying prevention program, Song and Dance.
Thank you so much.
Joan, thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
be back with more of our program right after this.